Live on YouTube. Let the stream show so I can share it. Okay, so once the stream shows up on my tablet, we can get started. Share. Copy link. Paste. 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 Sharing the link to people. Always the most fascinating part of any stream. Sharing the link to people.
Y'all?
Okay, now I can pull up the stream on my tablet so I can watch the chat if anyone decides to say anything. Okay, so last couple of streams, my mom and I went through this Mario Advanced Choose Your Own Adventure book. First time we did it as Mario, second time we did it as Luigi. Now we're going to use Toad. Not going to go through the tutorial. I'm pretty sure people get the gist of this. Introduction, Mario's Dream. One night... Huh?
Don't tell him to doze. He's very depressed.
Yeah. One night, Mario, the world's favorite plumber, had a strange dream. He dreamt that he climbed a long staircase that led to a mysterious door. When he opened the door, he discovered a world he had never seen before. A faint voice from the land beyond the door reached him, saying, "Welcome to Subcon, the land of dreams. We have been cursed by Wart and are completely under his evil spell. You are the chosen one. Defeat Wart and return Subcon to normal. Please help us." Just as Mario tried to answer the voice, there was a flash of lightning that blinded him. He lost his balance and fell through the door. He woke with a start and sat up in bed. What a strange dream, he thought. But there was no time to worry about it. Today was the day of his picnic with Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad. Peach had picked a new spot in the park for their picnic, so Mario walked over to his brother Luigi's house, and they both headed to the park. When they arrived, Peach and Toad were already there. They had a great picnic. When it was over, they decided to explore. They came across a strange passage and a stairway cut into the side of a hill. At the top of the stairs, there was a the door from Mario's dream. Opening the door, the group saw a wondrous land spread out before them, but they couldn't admire the view for long. A flash of lightning and booming thunder shook the stairs, and all four companions tumbled through the door, falling into the land of dreams known as Subcon. The adventure begins. Down, down, down the four friends fell until they finally reached the ground. After making sure everyone was all right, Mario saw a small book on the ground. A Traveler's Guide to Subcon. Now this will come in handy, said Mario. The book contained all the things the group would need to know to defeat the enemies in their path and challenge Wart for control of the land. Luigi, who had been scouting the hill they were on, looked over Mario's shoulder. That's interesting. Let me see it. Mario turned to hand the guide to Luigi, but a sudden gust of wind snatched the book from Mario's hand and sent it high into the air. They watched helplessly as the book floated on the breeze, landing on a distant hilltop. "We need that book!" exclaimed Mario. And this time we're using Toad, so I'm going to turn to page 19. Toad's Adventure. Mario and Luigi were arguing over who'd go after the book. I will, said Mario. No, said Luigi, I'll go. Peach stepped in. You're both too late, she said. Toad ran after the book already. It was true. Toad had run after the book as soon as it landed on the hilltop. I'm faster than them, Toad thought as he ran. He reached the hilltop and found the book under some grass. As he grabbed the book, the ground started to shake, and a huge hole opened under him. Before he could do anything, he fell through the hole and into the darkness below. Toad didn't fall far, but he knew he couldn't climb up alone. The hole wasn't big, so he began to look for a way out. He walked through a dark tunnel. At the end, he found another room with a ladder that reached through a hole in the ceiling. Toad quickly scampered up the ladder. When on the ground, he was surprised to see that he wasn't near the grassy hill. He saw a huge desert with pyramids in the distance. I have to keep going, he said as he looked around, but I wish the others were here. Toad saw an oasis. I'm sure the way back to my friends is across the desert, but that oasis looks interesting, he thought. To the oasis or across the desert?
I'm gonna go for the oasis.
All right. Oh, hey, my buddy Julian's watching. What's up, man?
Oh. Hi, Julian. I know you said hi.
So did you say across the desert or the oasis?
Oasis.
Okay.
Why would I want to go into the desert when there's an oasis? I'm probably gonna die, but
Oasis. Toad decided to check out the oasis before heading across the desert. As he got closer, he could see a small blue creature on one of the hills. He pulled the guidebook out of his pocket. As he thumbed through the book, Toad found what he was looking for. A Shy Guy. It says here that I can pick them up and throw them, or just jump over them. Toad rarely avoided a fight. He jumped on the Shy Guy and tossed it off the small hill. He climbed deeper until he reached the top of the hill. How do you climb deep? How do you climb deep?
You climb down.
Yeah, but it said he reached the top of the hill.
Then it's steep, which is a deep climb up.
I guess. There were 2 trees there, but he also found 2 cherries nearby. He ate the cherries quickly, after reading in the guidebook that eating 5 of them would cause a starman to appear. A starman is a strange star-like object that will make me invulnerable for a short time. Toad also found some tufts of grass on the hill, and he tugged on one of them. It finally came loose to reveal him. Who did the proofreading on this? It came loose to reveal a magic potion. I wonder what this does, he thought. Before he could look in the guidebook, he dropped the potion on the ground between the 2 trees. A magic door appeared where he dropped the potion. Should we enter the magic door or leave the oasis?
Door.
To the door! Subspace. Toad went through the magic door and found himself in a strange dark copy of the land he had come from. The only thing he could see nearby was a large mushroom. He walked over to it and picked it up. Immediately he felt stronger, and he checked the guidebook to see what had happened. Those mushrooms can either heal me or help me survive enemy attacks, he said as he read the book. It says here that they can only be found if a potion is used in the right place. Tucking the guidebook into his pocket again, Toad started to explore the area nearby, but suddenly he was back in the land he had come from, near the oasis. The magic door was gone. Toad shrugged. Oh well, at least I found that mushroom, he thought. Page 63. Across the desert. Toad set off across the sand, leaving the oasis behind. There were hills in the distance. He headed for them. As he got closer, he was attacked by flying creatures. To avoid them, he jumped over them. Bezos, he read from the guidebook. Oh God, it's called Bezos. Bezos, he read from the guidebook, are easy to avoid but difficult to defeat. Time your jumps carefully to leap over them or throw something at them to bring them down. More Bezos attacked.
If only that worked for the other Bezos.
Yeah. And he had to jump quickly to avoid them. Toad ran toward the hills ahead of him, and with several Bezos on his tail. What now, he thought. Those hills are too high for me to climb. The Bezos were coming up fast behind him, and he had to jump over one of them. Toad didn't time his leap very well, and landed on the Bezo. Oh, okay, so Bezos is just the plural term. Landed on the Bezo. Trying to get away, Toad jumped again while standing on the Bezo, and leaped on top of the hill. Toad could see a long way from the top of the hill, but it didn't look good. The desert seemed to go on forever, but he could see some pyramids in the distance. He searched the hill, and to his surprise, he found a door in the hillside. Should we enter the door or climb down and cross the desert again?
You pick this time.
I'm going to say go through the door.
Okay. All I know is never trust a bunny.
Yeah. Toad does some gardening.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Long as
Toad
it's
entered the
there.
door in the hillside and found himself inside a small chamber. The only thing he could see were several tufts of grass on the floor. He wasn't sure what he would find, but he started pulling up grass. He found several strange-looking sprouts and was about to give up when he found a magic potion. He tossed the potion to the ground and a door appeared. Toad didn't waste any time. He entered the door and found a magic mushroom inside. He picked up the mushroom and left through the magic door. He was back in the room with all the grass, but there was no grass left to pull. So he left through the door and found himself back on the hilltop. He carefully climbed down to the sand below, ready to continue his adventure. Page 10. Sand, sand, and more sand.
Yeah.
Toad set off across the desert, avoiding the pesky bezos that buzzed by his head as he walked. He saw some cacti sticking out of the sand. He jumped on the top of the first one he came to, and he could see a cherry hovering above the next cactus. If I eat enough of those cherries, I can get a Starman and become invulnerable for a while. But I'm not sure I can make that jump, thought Toad. Should Toad jump to get the cherry?
Yes.
All right then. Page 41. Toad makes a leap. Toad made the jump and grabbed the cherry. Looking at the sand below, he noticed something odd. The sand here seemed softer and appeared to be moving. "Quicksand!" he cried. Suddenly it seemed harder to balance on top of the cactus, but Toad now knew he had to risk being sucked into this quicksand below. Hopping across the cactus tops, Toad made it over the quicksand to firm ground. Ahead, he could see piles of bones. Weary of more quicksand ahead, he jumped on top of the bones. Sure enough, the sand ahead was shifting. I think I can jump to that next pile of bones, Toad thought. He jumped, but he didn't make it. He was sinking. Thinking fast, Toad jumped several times in a row. Each time he came out of the sand a bit more until he was able to climb onto the bones. "That was close," he exclaimed. He didn't have long to rest because two strange-looking creatures were headed toward him. "That tall cactus-like creature is a pokey. I can jump over it. The other one is a cobrat," he said after checking the guidebook. "As long as I don't let it run into me, I can jump on it or over it." He faced the two enemies and quickly jumped on top of the pokey. From there, he jumped over the cobrat. Cobrat, I'm not sure. Toad ran across the desert to get away from them and found a door at the base of one of the pyramids. Without looking back, he opened the door and stepped inside. Page 70. The key. Toad found himself inside a huge chamber. The platform he was on was small, and he could see that the room fell away to the floor far below. As he was looking down, he saw a small ledge with a pipe on it. Maybe that's a shortcut down, he thought. He jumped to the ledge and climbed down to the pipe. It wasn't a shortcut, but the pipe was the opening to an odd room with a small Ferris wheel inside. Shy Guys rode in two of the seats, but the others were empty. At the bottom of the room, Toad found a tuft of grass. When he pulled up, he was rewarded with a box that said "POW" on it. Toad didn't have to check the guidebook to see if this is a good thing. Anything that says "POW" on it must be good, he thought. He rode one of the empty seats up to the top of the Ferris wheel, then jumped out of the pipe with the POW block. Toad never took too long to decide what to do, so he jumped off the ledge and fell to the sandy floor below. Several Shy Guys fell past him, and there were more enemies below. As soon as he hit the sand, Toad threw the POW block, which knocked all the enemies off the sand. Now that he had made it to the bottom of the room, Toad could see a locked door nearby. "I don't have a key and I can't get back up," he said as he kicked the sandy little floor. Suddenly, he had an idea. Toad began to dig in the soft sandy floor. The sand was loose and very easy to dig in, so in no time he had dug a deep hole. Suddenly, a Shy Guy appeared, moving through the sand. Toad was barely able to jump out of the way in time before the Shy Guy passed by. Digging carefully, Toad kept going down into the sand. Several times he almost ran into Shy Guys, but he also found some cherries buried deep in the sand. When he was about to give up, he came to a brick ledge beneath the sand that had a door on it. Once inside, he found a key that was protected by a very odd creature. A spark, he said after looking in the guidebook. He'll shock me if I get too close. Toad timed his jump carefully and grabbed the key. As soon as he had the key, he ran from the room to avoid the Phanto that chased him. As long as I hold this key, that Phanto will be after me, he thought. So as he jumped back through the sand to the locked door, Toad dropped the key several times to avoid the Phanto. He reached the locked door and ducked inside. Page 74. Is it just me, or is Toad the one with the least number of choices?
Yeah.
Toad made it through the door into another long chamber. He dodged some pesky Shy Guys and saw the end of the room ahead. If I can make it there, I'll be home free, he thought. He crossed the room, but noticed that he was standing on loose sand. Remembering his digging expedition in the last chamber, Toad dug down and managed to find 4 cherries. One more and I'll get a Starman, he thought. As soon as he climbed out of the sand, he saw another cherry. Toad ate the 5th cherry and heard the Starman getting close. He ran to meet it, and just in time, a Panther was blocking his path. Using the Starman to protect him, Toad ran right through Panther, knocking him off his perch and giving Toad an easy path to the end of the room. Page 48. Something tells me Toad is like the one character that the author gave the least amount of shits about. It's like, oh, I have to do a route for Toad. Screw choices. Toad doesn't get choices. Toad didn't know what to expect when he entered the tunnel at the end of the room, but suddenly the floor disappeared and he fell into the room below. He could hear something around the corner, so he carefully peeked around it. On a small platform was a 3-headed serpent. It spotted him immediately, and Toad had to run all the way back to where he entered the room to avoid the fireballs that shot at him. Toad looked in the guidebook. A Triclide! There's no way to stop his fireballs. I need to find something to use as a shield, he exclaimed. Toad carefully approached Triclide again. This time, before he had to run away, he spotted some odd mushroom-shaped blocks. Triclide spit fire at Toad again, but not before he noticed that the mushroom blocks stopped the flames. Aha! Said Toad. Waiting for Triclide to take a breath, Toad quickly ran over and stacked 3 of the mushroom blocks on the first platform above the floor. This made a shield that Triclide's fire couldn't get past. Then Toad grabbed a mushroom block and climbed higher in the room. Taking careful aim, he threw the mushroom block on Triclide's head. Triclide howled in pain, but kept up his attacks. Toad carried 2 more mushroom blocks up and dropped them on Triclide one at a time. The final block did the trick. Triclide wailed and then disappeared. Hooray! Cried Toad. This has to be the way out. Walking past Triclide's platform, Toad headed for the tunnel ahead. As he walked through the tunnel, Toad felt the floor begin to slope down. Soon, it became harder to stand as the floor became even steeper. He stumbled, and suddenly he was sliding down a steep tunnel. A dim light appeared ahead and grew steadily brighter. Toad could see it pulsing and swirling, and he was sliding right for it. Unable to stop himself, Toad slid into the light. He immediately found himself standing on a grassy path. Several people were ahead on the path. Because he didn't know what else to do, he walked toward them. As he got close, he could see that one of them was wearing a pink dress. Princess Peach! He cried. The group of people, who he could now see were his friends, turned and saw him, and ran to meet him. Page 50.
Okay.
So we know how it goes from here.
Okay.
That was Toad's route.
Okay.
Should we still do the whole wart encounter, or?
It's up to you.
I mean, there is another junction where we can play as Toad.
Okay.
So there is still technically more Toad campaign. The 4 friends were finally together again. After everyone had a chance to talk about their adventures, it was time to get down to business. Now that we've got the guidebook, said Mario, let's see if we can find this wart and save Subcon. With a cheer, they set off. It wasn't long before they came to their first challenge. The path they were on led to a ladder. One by one, they climbed the ladder until they reached the ground above. Toad ran ahead a bit and came running back. There's one of those pipes on top of this hill, he said, but I can't jump high enough to reach it. Luigi, who could jump higher and farther than anyone, took a look. I can reach it, he said. Wait, Luigi, said Mario. Maybe we should leave it alone and keep going. After all, we need to find our way to Ward as quickly as possible. Julian, it's not so much that Toad has the worst stats. He's got the worst jump, but he's got the fastest running speed.
Okay.
Let Luigi jump into the pipe, page 85.
What?
I'm turning to the page.
Okay.
The search for Luigi. Luigi quickly climbed down into the pipe. Oh my, they heard him shout, and then he disappeared down the pipe. Luigi? Mario called, but there was no answer. I don't like this, said Toad. Mario knew that Peach was the only one of them besides Luigi who could jump to the pipe. Peach, would you jump up there and see if Luigi's all right? Sure I will, said Peach. And she jumped up onto the ledge near the pipe. I don't see him inside, but I do see a bright light way down at the bottom of the pipe. Peach looked at Mario. Mario, Luigi's gone. Mario nodded. I thought so. Luigi must have found a warp. There's no way to tell where it took him without following. I'm not sure. It could have taken to another world or just somewhere else in this one. We can't leave him alone. Help us up, Peach. We have to go after him. Page 26. Down the pipe. Peach helped the others reach the ledge, then all of them jumped into the pipe. They fell toward the light below, which grew brighter as they fell closer to it. 1 minute they were sliding down the pipe, and the next they were standing on a platform high in the clouds. Ah, there you are, said Luigi, who had been waiting for them to arrive. I didn't know if you'd follow me or not. Toad was already looking around, and as always, he was impatient to get moving. Peach and Mario were talking quietly, trying to decide what to do. I think we've got to go that way, said Luigi, pointing to some tall towers in the distance. We can't go back, I already tried. The others agreed, and so they set off. They jumped across the platforms in the clouds, and they had to battle swarms of enemies. Mario read the guidebook, and they used what they learned to get past them all. They reached the tower ahead and saw a sign outside. Wart's Castle, visitors not welcome. It's Wart's Castle, we've made it, cried Mario. They all quickly ducked inside. It was dark and gloomy. This is scary, said Peach. Everyone agreed, but they knew that they had to keep going and find Wart. The first room of the castle was a maze of poles and platforms. Luigi led the way since his jumping ability made it easier for him to defeat his enemies and in their path. They came to a pole that led through the floor. Should we go down, said Luigi, or take that pole up to the ceiling? Luigi pointed to a pole off in the distance that hung down within reach. Let's go up, said Toad. I'll bet that nasty Wart is at the top of the castle. Maybe so, said Mario, but he could be in the dungeon, too. Top of the castle, page 82. Wart's Castle. They climbed up the pipe one by one. When they reached the top, Toad scampered ahead and returned quickly. There's a door on the other side of this room, but there's also another chain we can climb that's hanging down from the center of the room. Before they could decide which way to go, they had to battle the enemies in the room. Luigi led the way again, and they got rid of them quickly. I vote we climb up, said Mario. The jump to that door looks too far for Toad and me. Peach and I can help you, Mario, Luigi said. I'll bet that door is a shortcut. Either way is probably all right, said Peach. Let's just pick one. Through the door. I know, right? The group was in a small Wart's Castle courtyard. The group was in a small courtyard. There was a ladder and they climbed up. We must be outside the castle entrance, said Peach. The ladder should lead to the door we need to use. Since she knew more about castles than everyone else, they agreed to follow her. Peach led the way up the ladder when suddenly a fireball came flying right at her. She dodged it, but a second one came much closer. She climbed down the ladder. Mario, check the guidebook. There's something up there throwing fireballs. Mario looked through the book. It's Panzer. If we had something to throw, we could get past him. We'll have to dodge the attacks as we climb the ladder. They carefully made their way up the ladder. The higher they went, the harder it was for Panzer's attacks to reach them. Soon they were out of his range. At the top, they found the main door to Wart's castle. They rested, then agreed to step inside and find Wart. Inside, they found themselves about halfway up a tower. Toad pointed to a door at the top of the tower. They jumped on platforms and reached the door. Once everyone was at the top, they opened the door and stepped inside. Page 66. Decision time. Once they were through the door, the four friends were in a long hallway. In the middle of the hallway, there was a locked door. "I'll bet that's the way in," said Luigi. "You're probably right," agreed Mario. "But where's the key?" In addition to the locked door, there was another door and several chains hanging down through openings in the hallway floor. "Let's split up and check out the chains in the other door," suggested Peach. "We can take a quick peek and then meet back here." They all agreed and split up to find the key. Okay, so Toad and Peach kind of share a route in this one. Like, they go at the same time on the same page. So Toad and Peach. Toad and Peach. Peach and Toad decided to search together, but first they tried to open the locked door. They tugged on the door to see if they could force it open, but it didn't work. "Let's see what's behind this other door," said Peach. They opened the door and entered the small room behind it. "Looks like a storage closet to me," said Toad. He was right. There wasn't much to see in the dusty room. "I don't think we'll find the key here. Let's go see if Mario and Luigi are having any luck," suggested Peach. Back in the hallway, they found Mario. "I didn't find it," he said, "but I did find Birdo." He told him about battling Birdo and about not finding the key. Peach stuck her head through the opening in the floor Luigi had explored and yelled down to him, "Luigi, the key has to be down there. Mario couldn't find it and neither do we. Do you need any help?" "No thanks," said Luigi. "I can handle this." Peach stood up and walked over to Mario. "He says he can handle it, so I guess we should just wait for him." Mario nodded, but he moved closer to the hole Luigi had gone through, just in case Luigi called for help. Page 34. Wart's castle, outside Wart's lair. Luigi emerged with the key and everyone cheered. "Piece of cake," said Luigi. He unlocked the door and the four friends entered the next room. They saw a tunnel. "I'll bet that leads to Wart," said Toad, and he ran to it. "Toad, wait!" cried Mario. Toad stopped and waited for the others. "That bird mask over the tunnel entrance looks different. We must be careful. We're almost there." Toad nodded and the group slowly neared the tunnel. There was a crystal in front of the tunnel and some mushroom blocks. Luigi grabbed the crystal and handed it to Mario. "They should unlock the tunnel," Luigi said. "Look out!" cried Peach. The brothers saw Peach duck to avoid the attack. The mask flew through the air and swooped to attack again. "Luigi, grab a mushroom block!" yelled Mario. They both grabbed a block and threw it. The mask didn't stop attacking them. Mario tried again. This time the block stopped the attack, allowing them to enter the tunnel. "Everyone be ready," said Mario. "I've got a feeling that Wart's on the other side of this tunnel." Page 78. Wart. As the companions entered Wart's chamber, they couldn't see much at first. It was very dark, but they could see something moving across the room. They cautiously crossed the room, and a booming voice stopped them in their tracks. "Well, I see that you've made it at last," said Wart. "Too bad it was all for nothing." Wart was a huge, ugly frog, and his voice boomed in the chamber. "Subcon is mine, and there's nothing you can do to stop me." "We'll see," said Mario, and he charged right at Wart. Toad and Luigi were right behind him, but Wart just laughed and spit out 3 bubbles of foam. Mario and Luigi and Toad couldn't stop in time. The bubbles surrounded them, lifting them off the floor. "Too bad, Mario," said Wart. "Maybe that will teach you." Wart had been so busy dealing with Mario and the others, he had forgotten about Peach. Peach saw a strange machine near Wart and she walked over to it. While she was looking at the machine and Wart was dealing with Mario, a vegetable came out of the machine. Peach grabbed the veggie and threw it at Wart while he was taunting Mario. "Take that, you big meanie!" she yelled. The vegetable went right in Wart's open mouth, and he had to stop yelling at Mario. "I hate vegetables," Wart said. He turned his attention to Peach, but another veggie was on the way into his mouth. Wart began spitting foam bubbles at Peach, but she dodged them all and she waited for more veggies from the machine. Each time she got one, she waited for Wart to taunt her, then she tossed one into his open mouth. "Go Peach!" yelled Mario, and the others chimed in, cheering her on. Wart was frantically tossing bubbles at Peach, but she easily glided past them and tossed the 5th and final veggie into Wart's mouth. "Yuck!" screamed Wart, and with that, he began to disappear. "No, you can't do this! Subcon is mine!" Wart's screams grew fainter and fainter until at last he was gone. Page 54. Victory! "We did it!" squealed Peach. The foam bubbles holding the others popped, and they all met in the center of the room. "Great job, Peach," said Mario. "I'm sorry we weren't much help." "Mario, we beat Wart together." I never would have been able to get to that machine without your help. With that, Peach kissed Mario on the cheek and Toad and Luigi smiled. Just then, a strange light appeared in the chamber and a voice spoke to them. Thank you, my friends. Subcon is now free and we have you to thank. The land of dreams will be as it always was. It is within our power to grant you all a wish. Name it and you shall have it. The four friends looked at one another and smiled. Mario spoke for the group. We don't need anything. We have one another. Very well, Mario. Know that your names will be forever remembered in Subcon. Go now. We will see you again in your dreams. With that, the light and the voice faded away. Mario turned to Peach and was about to say something when he realized she was gone. Toad and Luigi were gone too. Mario started to worry, but then he saw that he was no longer in Wart's chamber. Back at home, Mario tossed and turned in his sleep. Suddenly, he woke up. We did it, he said. Just then, someone knocked on his door. He went to answer it and found Peach, Luigi, and Toad outside. They all smiled and came inside, talking about their adventure. As they were talking, there was another knock on the door. There was a messenger outside, and he handed Mario a letter. Mario tore it open to reveal a sheet of paper. Mamma mia, he said, and he showed them the paper. A single sentence was written on it. It's not over yet, I'll be back, signed Wart. The companions looked at one another and shrugged. Mario said, as long as we're together, Wart doesn't stand a chance. With that, they tossed the letter into the trash and left to celebrate their victory. The end.
There you go.
Next stream, Peach.
Okay.
Don't know when it'll be, but that's what the next stream's going to be. Peach. Peach Advance. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Bye.